So I did want to touch on one thing. We have our corridor sits in a wide community. Here's a basically a map showing the overall area, and we took the time to go out and actually measure a lot of the roads widths in the area to sort of put in context our corridor with its connections to the broader community here. And so what you see in blue here are lane widths ranging from 9 feet to 10 feet. This was sort of surprising, probably be surprising to some of you, and who would have thunk that that we actually have lane widths that are in this aspect. I mean, we have El Camino with lane widths in the 9.4, 9.6 range. We actually have in the upper left a whole long segment of Alameda, which has bike lanes, parking, center turn lane, and a lane each direction. And there, the lane widths are 9 feet. And on the far right, we have a stripe on Palm Avenue, which is the entrance to Stanford coming from Caltrain. And they use 9-foot lanes there for high volume bus traffic. So this is all doable. If you look at, we produced a report on this, which was a white paper on traffic lane widths, the role of traffic calming in pedestrian cycling safety. So what's being proposed by County and Kimley Horn, and I think something that we want to have addressed here, is this aspect of having 11 and 12-foot lane widths. We have wide lane widths now. In fact, on the northern segment of Santa Cruz, those lane widths are over 11.5 feet wide. And we have speeding problems. And we have issues where, had we used that space with traffic calming lanes of 9 to 10 feet wide, we would have had already, years ago, room for bike lanes. We would have had room for wider sidewalks. We could have done a lot of different things. And the impact of having wider lanes in the new design is exactly that. It takes away the space that we need to have safer buffered bike lanes, safer sidewalks, and sort of the elephant in the room is speed. So narrow traffic calming guidelines produce slower traffic. It's just naturally flows slower. Wide lanes produce fast traffic. So I hope it's obvious, and we can come back to this in a broader discussion. But we do not need freeway width lanes in our corridor. We want residential lanes that are consistent with 25-mile-an-hour speeds. It's not worth the safety costs and risks to have wider lanes than what are used to feed our particular segment of. It just makes sense in one sense that if we have 9-foot and to 10-foot lanes feeding into our corridor, that's all we need within our corridor. Especially when you look at the map. We simply do not need to have wider lanes than everyone else for this short little corridor. As a postscript, after the meeting, County expressed that Santa Cruz Avenue is a minor arterial, and that usually requires 11-foot lane. Santa Cruz and Alpine are labeled as minor arterials from the railroad tracks in downtown Menlo Park clear to Highway 280. Notably, Sand Hill Road is a major arterial from El Camino to Highway 280. So it leads to the argument that since these long portions of Alpine and Santa Cruz are using lanes of 9 to 10 feet, and Sand Hill, as a major arterial, also uses lane widths of 9.5 feet to 10 feet lanes from El Camino to Santa Cruz, that County could apply the same justification that was used to provision those narrower lane widths for those arterial road segments. The same is true for Alameda. Alameda, for long sections, uses lane widths of 9 to 10 feet. In fact, the business district that feeds into our short 2-block section of Alameda has a 9.6-foot lane width. So with a bit of effort, to use the same justifications for the surrounding major and minor arterials that are using 9 and 10-foot widths, we could use that same justification to narrow our new section. This would distribute much needed lane width to allocate to bike lanes and sidewalks, and at the same time would yield a narrower and slower lane width that will significantly address speeding.